Your All Holiness, distinguished hierarchs, the Orthodox churches throughout the world, my colleagues, distinguished rabbis, reverend clergy, members of the diplomatic corps, trustees of Appeal of Conscience Foundation and Park East Synagogue. Baruch haba. Welcome, Your Holiness. Or, in one word, shalom. Shalom. Peace be unto you. Welcome. Welcome to this 120-year young synagogue, a historic landmark sanctuary in the heart of New York on your latest pastoral visit to the United States. How providential. This week, we read from the Torah, from the Bible, the mission statement, Lech Lecha. God spoke to Abraham, go forth, leave your family, leave your country, and carry a message. Yes, that was Abraham's mission, a message to his fellow man throughout the world. And Your All Holiness, you are following in the footsteps of Abraham. You have traveled different parts of the world, following Lech Lecha, God's command, traveling in pursuit of peace, for protection of the environment, showing compassion for the stranger, and extending warm hospitality to all those who visit with you. And Elizabeth and I were privileged to enjoy that hospitality on many occasions. It has been my privilege and that of the Appeal of Conscience Foundation to work with you, Your All Holiness, and the Ecumenical Patriarchate, as well as with the Exarch, Archbishop Demetrius, beloved friend, celebrating his 10th anniversary of his enthronement. Mazel tov, congratulations. Many, many more fruitful years in the service of this city, your church, and our country. We have worked together on vital issues of tolerance and religious freedom for nearly 2 decades. Still remember our first meeting with Cardinal McCarrick in '92, followed by the Peace and Tolerance Conference, the Ecumenical Patriarchate, the Appeal of Conscience Foundation, to bring an end to the bloodshed in the former Yugoslavia, and to make sure that the religious leaders whom we convened would not become fodder of nationalist ambitions. We did all our best together in Fenar to make sure that the Balkans that were an inter-ethnic struggle would not turn into a religious war. I recently returned from a trip to Poland with my beloved friend Zygmunt Rolat, a Holocaust survivor, born in Czestochowa, that famous town that Pope John Paul of blessed memory visited on 3 different occasions. And we stood there in Czestochowa, ravages of World War II. At the Umschlagplatz were 40,000 citizens, Jewish citizens of Czestochowa, were hurled into cattle cars and trucks and shipped to Treblinka. This year marks the 70th anniversary of that disastrous war, World War II, which began with a morally repugnant concept of the Herrenvolk, the superior race. Racism, ethnic cleansing, the burning of synagogues, including my own in Vienna, Kristallnacht, led to the Holocaust, the Shoah, that resulted in the deaths of millions of our own people, 1/3 of the Jewish people, but millions of men, women, and children actually met their end in the blood-soaked continent of Europe. And then, actually, a week ago today, we joined Vice President Joe Biden in Warsaw. And he brought his granddaughter along, 11-year-old grandchild. He wanted to teach his granddaughter man's inhumanity to man. And he laid a wreath at the Warsaw Ghetto Memorial, honoring those men and women who fought with their bare hands for what? For freedom. If not to live, then at least to die with dignity. 60 years ago, society vowed to rebuild our world in the aftermath of the Holocaust. And 20 years ago, the world cheered the fall of the Berlin Wall. A new order has not ended the struggle, however, for religious freedom and human rights. And the new scourge facing mankind has not only the attack on the World Trade Center on September 11th, but Your Holiness, you and I stood in Istanbul at the Jewish cemetery after the attack on the synagogue that claimed the lives even of a grandmother and a granddaughter. You remember those caskets in the Jewish cemetery. And it caused serious injury to over 300 Turkish citizens, most of them Muslims. So the scourge of terrorism has become a pandemic. No country is immune, whether it's London, Madrid, Mumbai, Jerusalem, Amman, Bali, Baghdad, and Kabul have all been targets. We must show now how to stop the shipwreckers of civilization who want to hijack peaceful Islam and who wish to impose their totalitarian ideology on the world. We must stand together to withstand this latest onslaught against humanity. Respect for religious and cultural diversity, and interreligious dialogue are essential components of an interdependent world. Founding fathers, and we give thanks to the Lord, and we say, God bless America. The land of immigrants, the land of opportunity, the ways of migrants who have come to this country to find freedom. But that freedom still goes on. That struggle for freedom has to be nurtured, and every day American men and women and their allies are sacrificing their lives in Afghanistan and different parts of the world so that you and I and other nations would enjoy freedom. Thank God for America that has given this diverse population an opportunity to live in peace and harmony and to be a beacon of life and hope to so many others. Abraham's mission was also to teach his fellow human beings love and to be our brother's keeper, to protect God's creation. Let us each pledge today to imitate the Lord, follow in Abraham's footsteps, follow your leadership, your holiness, on your mission. And it is my privilege to present you now with the menorah, which is really the symbol of the Maccabees. Their fight, the few over the many, determined to preserve religious freedom for their people.